Okay, so this is the TCL 20S. We've actually had the opportunity to do some first impressions on the TCL 20 Pro 5G, but in this particular situation, we are doing the full review of the TCL 20S here. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what I found out. Now, this review unit here was sent out by TCL, and I want to take this opportunity, of course, to give them a major shout out. So major thank you to TCL for sending these over for me to check out. And of course, as always, this is an unbiased review. This is literally me giving you my genuine take on these phones. So this is not a sponsored video. All right, let's go ahead and start off with the category where you would find this phone. You have it costing about $250. It's right between the TCL 20 Pro 5G and the TCL 20 SE. Now, based off that price point alone, you might think it's a cheap phone, but it actually isn't. It's simply an affordable phone. It's still packed with some pretty decent specs here, and it's a beautiful phone, actually. You know, just in terms of design, looking at this, it's kind of stuck in between what I would call premium and, you know, budget phone, right? So you have that plastic, that frosted back here. It's a very, very nice feel, and when you put it to the light, depending on where or how you hold it, you have kind of that little shimmer going on there, and you would get, you know, the typical, again, we're still sticking with design here, we're going with the typical usual suspects here. We have a headphone jack, which is just fantastic at the top there. On the side here, we have a button that is reserved for the Google Assistant. This button on other TCL phone would be used as a button that is customizable to assign it whatever you would like to assign it to, but in this case here, it is the Google Assistant. On the right hand side here, of course, we have the volume rocker, and we have something that I really like here. If you've been watching the channel for a while, then you probably know that I really just prefer physical fingerprint scanner, and we have one here, which is a combo of a power button and the fingerprint scanner. Now, one of the first things that's really going to hit you with this phone is going to be that camera module on the back there. It's a quad setup of the main camera. You have a 64 megapixel for that main camera. You have an 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 2 megapixel depth sensor, and a 2 megapixel macro lens. And you can shoot video here in 4K. Just picture it. $250 for this phone, and you can shoot video in 4K. And let me tell you, that quality is actually pretty good. It's actually very good. By the way, if this is your first time visiting, welcome to the channel, of course. I'm certainly hoping that you enjoy the content so far. If you do, I truly appreciate that. Please do me a huge favor. Hit both the like and the subscribe button there. It's a huge boost to this channel here. And again, I truly appreciate that. All right, so let's get back to the phone here. So again, allow me to repeat myself. This guy at $250, you know, and you can shoot 4K videos. That's already a winner in my book. At the bottom here, of course, you have the USB Type-C port, and we have some stereo speakers here. We have 2 of them, and they actually do get pretty loud. I was surprised, even louder than the 20 Pro, louder than the TCL 20 Pro 5G that I am currently testing. So that was one thing that I was really happy to see. On the front, you have a 16 megapixel camera for that selfie camera, and that also does pretty well. Now, as far as the display goes, what we have here is a 6.67 inches display, so pretty much the same size as the TCL 20 Pro 5G. So if you were interested in the TCL 20 Pro, and let's say you don't have enough money to buy a TCL at $499, I believe that's the price for that one, you can always cop this guy here at $250, and you pretty much has that. It has that same display size. Now, in terms of the display type, that's where it's different. You still get that same resolution at 1080 by 2400, I believe, for the resolution, but this is an IPS display as opposed to the AMOLED that you'll be getting on the 20 Pro 5G. Now, I don't want to make this kind of a 20S versus a 20 Pro 5G, but I just kind of want to give you some perspective just comparing these two together. Now, when it comes down to entertainment, gaming, watching movies and things like that, the display is still fantastic. It looks really good. Now, you have to remember, TCL is a TV manufacturer, right? So they are known for making very, very good displays. So even though this is an IPS versus the AMOLED that you would get on the 20 Pro. Now, this guy here is running Android 11. You have the TCL UI sitting on that skin there. It's also running the Snapdragon, so it's powered by the Snapdragon 665, which for some people might be a little bit of a disappointment, not because it doesn't perform well, but simply because that's the same processor they had on the TCL 10L, right? But it does perform very, very well. It's comboed with 4 gigs of RAM, and I can tell you that I've done a little bit of multitasking here, and it does a pretty good job. It's pretty snappy. It's pretty, pretty smooth when you scrolling up and down. So you have absolutely zero lag. You're able to, do your everyday to complete your everyday tasks with no issues here. You're able to game. You can play PUBG on here. I know tons of people always ask about PUBG Mobile. You could play PUBG Mobile here. You could play Call of Duty, which I've tested also. No issues whatsoever. Also, another thing to add here in terms of specs is that the internal storage is 128 gigs. So you have that base storage of 128 gigs expandable using a micro SD card. That's always a plus. One of the biggest things about this phone is going to be the battery, and both literally and also figuratively. The battery here is, you have 5,000 milliamp battery on here, and it is fantastic. I'm getting a little bit over 8.5 hours, I believe, of screen time. It also, of course, depends on your type of usage, right? So you may get more, you may get less, but for me, the average is a little bit around 8.5 hours. That is just fantastic. So for many of you out there looking for value, I mean, 5,000 milliamp phone, 665 Snapdragon, that should last you. That's at least a day and a half if you're a power user. Well, but then again, it depends on the type of power user that you are. But bottom line is this: it's a huge battery. And just to give you a little bit more perspective, the TCL 20 Pro 5G has a 4,500 milliamp battery. So that tells you this guy here, that's just top notch in terms of battery. Now, as far as what you're getting out of the box with this phone, of course, would be the phone normally at the top. And right below that, you're going to have a sub box that's going to contain, your manual and also the SIM ejector tool, but also this goodie here, or this freebie, I should say. This is a transparent case for this phone. So if you buy this phone, you already have something to put it in, and it fits. Obviously, it was built for it. It fits very well, the cutout, so very, very clean. You get great feedback, with these buttons on here. Everything is clean on here. So you have that if you want to go with that, or, say if you want to go ahead and buy something else while waiting for you to buy a different case. If you prefer to go with a different style, you can always you can always use this already to avoid having, scratches or anything happening to your phone. Now, there are a few things that I would have loved to see on this phone, right? I would have loved to see some type of, high water resistance. I would have loved to see a higher processor, but again, that's not really an issue. The processor is still very, very good. It's also worth noting that this is not a 5G capable phone. Granted, 5G is not all over the place, but I just figure I'll go ahead and let you know this is not, it does not support 5G. You have quite a few features here. I really like, again, that just fingerprint sensor. That it is so fast. As soon as you hit it, it just unlocks it. And you also have face unlock here, which is a very, very nice thing to have. So you have those sought after features that are just loaded in this phone. Let me go ahead and just give you my overall take. For $250, I think this is a winner. At that price point, it is loaded with quite a few things that you would really like about this phone, right? It's a legit phone. It looks really good. It has, it's powerful enough for you to cover all your day-to-day tasks, even more. Anyway, so that was my review of the TCL 20S here. I certainly hope that this was informative. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you in the comment section like I always do. I'm also going to catch you up in the next video. And up until that next video, of course, as always, stay safe out there.